go ahead and get started. Good evening, and thank you for joining the NJHMFA's Road Home NJ Home Buying webinar. I am Jordan Campbell, the Communications Assistant at NJHMFA. First, I would like to notify you that we are recording this webinar and it will be visible to the public. So if you have your video on and do not want to be shown, please shut it off now. We will be sharing a lot of information in today's webinar. With that said, please notice on your Zoom toolbar that there is a chat box. This is where I will be uploading helpful links throughout the presentation if you want to copy them if you're on a computer. If you are on a phone or unable to copy, that's fine. We will also be sending all of these links and materials to you via an email tomorrow morning, so make sure to check for that. If you have registered for this event, we have your email address. If someone shared this Zoom link with you and you did not register, then please feel free to chat me your email address and name so I can add you to the email going out tomorrow along with future emails on home buying. Lastly, please keep yourselves muted during the presentation and please feel free to use the chat box to ask any questions throughout the webinar. We will address the questions during the Q&A. If you are calling in, then we will ask you to unmute at the time of the Q&A if you would like to ask a question. Now, I would like to introduce our first speaker, who we call the face of our agency and also the real MVP here at NJHMFA, Jesse Crawford, who is our Lender Outreach and Marketing Coordinator. Take it away, Jesse.
Thank you, Jordan. Before we get started, can you please mute yourselves? We have an echo here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Jesse Crawford. I am the Outreach and Marketing Coordinator for NJHMFA, or New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency. And we're happy to have you with us this evening. We have a host of information to share with you about home buying resources provided by our agency. And without further ado, I'm going to get right into the presentation. So I'm going to share my screen. And let me maximize this. And there we go. Put that there. Okay, great. Again, thank you for coming. Tonight, we're going to talk about maximizing first-time homebuyer opportunities with down payment assistance provided by our agency. A little bit about us. We are a housing finance agency, a state housing finance agency, preferably known as NJHMFA. I know that's a mouthful, but once you say it enough times, it kind of clicks. Again, we are a state housing finance agency, and we respond to New Jersey residents, the needs of New Jersey residents, by implementing creative programs and establishing alliances that fund affordable home mortgages for first-time home buyers and existing home buyers. And I'll talk about that a little bit later in my presentation. And our programs are offered through a network of approved lenders. A little bit of statistics here. The National Association of Realtors stated that first-time home buyers make up 33% of all home buyers. The largest share of home buyers continues to be the age group between 25 and 34, which accounts for about 54% of all home buyers. Also, 71% of all first-time home buyers were previously renting an apartment or a house. Now, we're going to talk about a few or some of the roadblocks to home ownership. Studies show the leading barriers why folks aren't able to purchase and why they rent are things such as the down payment and closing costs. Also, just basically qualify for a mortgage, the amount of debt they might currently have, job security, or whether or not they're in a position to even settle down at this particular time. And another issue that we're currently having throughout our state is not enough homes for sale, not enough inventory. This graph shows, according to National Association of Realtors and Zillow, affording the down payment, 68% said that was one of the leading barriers. Qualifying for a mortgage, 53%. The amount of debt they have, 50%, and job security rounds it out there at 39%. Upfront costs for purchasing a home, including down payments and closing costs, are the commonly rated issue or obstacle to homeownership. Specifically, 9 in 10, 88% low-income renters said having money for down payment and the closing costs was a major obstacle for them. Middle-income renters, 72%, the same challenge. 62% of low-income and 39% of middle-income renters considered having funds for homeownership as a major obstacle. 53% of renters cited the inability to afford down payment as the reason why they rent. And it's the most frequently cited explanation. Now here's another graph here, or snapshot of some of the things that prevent buyers from being able to save money for down payment for buying purchasing a home. First-time home buyers, 56%, said their student loans are a major issue. And I would say that's across the board, all across the country. The amount of credit card debt they might have, 34% in this particular graph. Car loan, childcare expenses, healthcare costs, and others. Now, our agency has basically 2 foundational mortgage programs. And I'm going to tell you about both of them. They have a lot of similarities, but they also have some major differences. The first-time home buyer, or the first-time home buyer mortgage, as we refer to it at the agency, or our lenders would refer to it as, is one of those mortgage programs. And our Homeward Bound mortgage program, these are our foundational mortgage programs that can be combined with our down payment assistance program. The first-time home buyer mortgages that we provide are a competitive loan for eligible home buyers purchasing in the state of New Jersey, purchasing their first home in the state of New Jersey. They're both 30-year fixed rate, government-insured loans, and the interest rates are determined by our agency, and we send those rates out to our lenders each and every business day by 10 a.m. The lenders that we use do not dictate the interest rate. We dictate the interest rate, and the interest rate cannot be changed by any one of our 52 participating lenders, okay? Currently, for the first-time home buyer mortgage, the interest rate is 2.75, and for our Homeward Bound mortgage is 3.125, and I'll get into the differences of that and explain why the interest rates are actually different. The first-time home buyer mortgage, the requirements are: 1, you must purchase and occupy a residential home in the state of New Jersey. You can be moving in or out of New York or Pennsylvania, Connecticut, or any other state, but you must purchase here in New Jersey and occupy it as your primary residence. Borrower must meet all qualifications for our agency's mortgage, which is originated through one of our participating lenders. And the participating lender list, you will get that link put into the chat, as well as all the other links in my presentation. For the first-time home buyer, the borrower must be first-time home buyer. Now, first-time home buyer is defined as someone who has not had ownership interest in their primary residence during the previous 3 years. So if you've been renting for the last 3 years, your primary residence, you're considered a first-time home buyer. Even if you have a investment property that you rent out to someone else, and you've been renting for the last 3 years and can prove that, you are considered a first-time home buyer and can take advantage of our programs and our down payment assistance. Now, qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers, but must not own another primary residence at closing. Continue on with first-time home buyer. The minimum credit score for our program is 620 or greater. And for the debt to income ratios, the maximum is 40 on what we call the front and 47 on the back. For those who do not understand or know what the debt to income ratios means, basically 40% of your monthly gross income, no more than 40%, can be applied towards your mortgage payment, and the 47% represents your mortgage payment and all your minimum monthly payments, installment accounts, credit cards, and other things combined. So those are the ratios for the first-time home buyer. Also, borrowers is required to have 2 months reserves of the monthly mortgage payment. And I'll talk about that in detail, where those reserves can come from or where you can prove you have those reserves. Borrowers also must meet the income guidelines provided, the state income guidelines for each and every county, or the county that you're looking to purchase in, I should say. And household income is calculated by all adults in that household who are 18 and older and not full-time students. Let me click on here and show you the chart for the income limits. Do a new share. As you can see here, the statewide income limits for first-time home buyers. Hunterdon, which is down at the bottom, Hunterdon, Middlesex, and Somerset, 1 to 2 family household, maximum income is $119,500. 3 or more in the household, the maximum household income is $137,425. And to round off this particular slide, borrowers may not possess enough liquid assets to close a mortgage loan or the mortgage loan at 80% loan to value or less. Now, I'm going to go into the Homeward Bound program. A lot of similarities, but few things are different. Again, you must purchase and occupy a residential home in New Jersey, same as the first-time home buyer. You must qualify for a mortgage through one of our participating lenders. Borrower must be a first-time home buyer as defined as someone who has not had interest in their primary residence during the previous 3 years, ownership interest. Qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers, but must not own another property at closing. And with the Homeward Bound program, there are higher income ratios. So if you do not qualify for the first-time home buyer program, you will possibly qualify for the Homeward Bound program. Hence, that's the reason why the interest rates are slightly different. And again, they're both 30-year fixed interest rate mortgages. Credit score is the same, 620 or greater. Now, as you can see here, at the top of this slide, the debt to income ratio, the max ratio is 40 and 50. So if you do not meet the, or you exceed the max ratio for the first-time home buyer mortgage, then you can possibly qualify for the Homeward Bound mortgage program, which allows higher debt to income ratios, specifically on the back. So you 50%, no more than 50% of your monthly mortgage payment. Your gross monthly income can be applied to your mortgage payment and all your other debt monthly minimum payments that you have to pay. Borrowers, again, must have 2 months reserves of the monthly mortgage payment. And I'm going to show you the income limits here for the Homeward Bound program. And as you can see here, for Hunterdon, Middlesex, and Somerset, the income limits are substantially higher. It's $167,300. That's the maximum household income. So if you don't qualify for the first-time home buyer, either your income is too high or your debt to income ratios are too high, then you can possibly qualify for the Homeward Bound mortgage. And again, let me go back, cannot possess enough liquid assets to close the mortgage loan at 80% LTV or less. When we say liquid assets, we're talking about cash in a checking or savings. We're not talking about retirement funds, 401k, pension, or anything like that. If you can put down more than 20% to close the loan at higher than 80% LTV, then these funds aren't for you. This down payment assistance program, you're not going to qualify for. Now, I want to get into what we call urban targeted areas. And this is another way that a potential home buyer, either first-time home buyer or existing home buyer, can take advantage of our programs. Urban targeted areas are designated by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and each county has designated urban targeted areas. Now, buyers of homes in urban targeted areas or qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers. I'm going to say that again. Buyers of homes located within urban targeted areas or qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers, but must not own another primary residence. So you can own a home currently and you're looking to buy a new home, either upgrade, downgrade, whatever it is, as long as you sell your primary residence prior to closing, you can take advantage of our programs, our down payment assistance program, and our mortgage, but you must purchase a home within an urban targeted area to do that. Now, the benefits of buying a home in an urban targeted area are higher income limits, as I said earlier, which allow you to permit you to qualify for the loan, and higher purchasing prices are permitted. Now, if you are an existing homeowner and you're looking to take advantage of our program, and you have a property in mind that you're looking to purchase, and you want to find out if it's indeed in an urban targeted area, we have a website, Site Evaluator. Let me pull it up for you. And with this Site Evaluator, you can simply type in the address of the property that you're looking to purchase, and it will let you know whether or not it's in an urban targeted area. Over to the left, you see the layers, municipal boundaries. Down, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 3 lines. It'll let you know whether or not the property is in the urban targeted area track. If it is indeed in an urban targeted area and you wish to purchase it as an existing homeowner, you can take advantage of our funds. Now, also, urban targeted areas are an untapped market because buyers can purchase in these areas and they do not need to be a first-time home buyer. And they can take advantage, as I said earlier, of our down payment assistance program. Now, you can also combine other programs that you might find assistance, down payment resources, to couple with our down payment program to give you greater buying power and also help you pay for your down payment and closing costs. We've included in this particular slide at the bottom a link to downpaymentresources.com. This is a site that our agency does not monitor. I shouldn't say monitor. We don't own this page, but it's a great resource for folks looking for additional resources to help them with down payment and closing costs. Also, we have a link for annualcreditreport.com. If folks on this particular webinar need a copy of their credit report free of charge, you can get one once a year free from all 3 credit bureaus just by utilizing this link and putting in your information and verifying some other things with the credit bureaus. Now, this is a snapshot of both programs, and it gives you a clear understanding and distinction between the two. Both minimum credit score is 620 or higher. The first-time home buyer has lower income limits. The Homeward Bound program has higher income limits to help you qualify. First-time home buyer, lower debt-to-income ratios. Homeward Bound has higher debt-to-income ratios. They're both 30-year fixed rate mortgages. There's a lower interest rate for the first-time home buyer. And again, the first-time home buyer interest rate is 2.75. For the homeward bound, it's 3.125. Also, borrowers must complete a HUD-approved credit counseling course for both of these programs. It's required to have HUD-approved credit counseling. Upon completion of the credit counseling, you will receive a certificate. That certificate expires in 1 year. That certificate has to be submitted with your closing package for review and compliance prior to closing on your loan. And the other great thing about both these programs, if you're looking to purchase a one family unit, that's fine. If you want more than a one family, you can purchase up to a 4-family unit, but you have to occupy one of those units as your primary residence for the required period of time, which is 5 years. So if you're looking to purchase a duplex, there's a great opportunity for you to buy a duplex, live in one, rent the other out. Now you have rental income, or conceivably getting your mortgage paid by your tenant. Really quick, the requirements for our program, or the documents needed for our loans, are simply 3 years signed federal tax returns or transcripts, 30-day pay stubs, and 2 years W-2s are required for all adult household members when the file is submitted. 2 months bank statements are required. Borrowers must also have available 2 months reserves of the monthly mortgage payment. Now, reserves can be in a personal account. It can be a gift from a family member or loved one, or it can be provided on a statement from your 401k or pension or some other retirement fund, but it does not need to be withdrawn. So if you can provide the statement saying you have those funds, that will work out just fine. Now, our agency loan proceeds or the down payment assistance funding cannot be used in any circumstances to pay down or reduce or satisfy any debt in order to qualify for your mortgage or the program. Now, borrowers can get cash back at closing if there's excess of funds, but the max is $3,000 for funds paid out of your pocket, which includes your earnest money deposit, the appraisal fee, inspection fee, pest inspection, and your home buyer's course. Other certifications that may be required, if there's a well or septic, certification is needed for that. Wood destroying pest inspection is required for each and every loan. As I said earlier on the last slide, a HUD-approved credit counseling certification certificate must be submitted with the file. And if the seller is a business information docs are required. If the seller is an estate, short certificate and death certificate is required. And power of attorney approval is required for the buyer or seller before the loan can go to closing. Now, final approval, pretty simple. Our process is straightforward. Lenders will submit the loan file to our agency for review once the loan has been cleared by the lender. The initial review by our agency could take up to 5 days. We do not use the full 5 business days. We've turned files around in 48 hours or even less. The lender, as long as the lender submits the full file and everything that's required with that file, we can get a clear closing of the file, or clear the file to close, I should say, as soon as possible, early, typically within 48 hours. Also, lenders are encouraged to submit the file to our agency for review at least 10 days before the scheduled closing date. This will allow time for resubmission if there are any outstanding loan conditions. And then once those resubmissions are met, we will clear the file for closing. Now, The file sent to our agency will never be delayed because of us. We don't underwrite the file at all. The lender underwrites the entire file. The lender is required to get all the documents from the potential a homeowner or borrower, I should say, and submit that full package to us for review. We clear it, and it moves on to closing. So the file will never be delayed by us, as long as the file is submitted in its entirety and everything that's supposed to be with that particular package. Now, I want to get into what we call the meat and potatoes of the presentation. I call this the free money section of our presentation. Our agency has $10,000 to give you, potential home buyer, towards down payment and your closing costs. Our down payment assistance is a forgivable loan. It's not a grant, it's a loan. It's a loan with no payments and no interest, okay? And this loan can be coupled, or it's coupled with our program, which is our mortgage program, either the first-time home buyer mortgage or the homeward bound mortgage, okay? Our DPA is, again, $10,000, forgivable loan, no payments, no interest. Our loans are government-insured loans, such as FHA, VA, or USDA. Currently, we do not offer conventional mortgages at this time, but we will be within the next 2 to 3 months. So that's going to be a greater opportunity for home buyers here in the state of New Jersey when we start offering conventional mortgages also in conjunction with what we currently provide right now. Now, the major caveat for the down payment assistance is that the home buyer must reside in the property as a primary residence for 5 years after purchasing and must not sell, refinance, or obviously default on the mortgage. If those requirements are adhered to, the $10,000 is completely forgiven. And again, it's a zero interest, no payment loan. So there's no payments over that 5-year period for the down payment assistance of that $10,000. So as long as you reside in the home without selling, refinancing, or defaulting, there's nothing that you have to pay back, and the loan is completely forgiven. Now, in the event that the borrower conveys, refinances, or ceases to occupy the premises during that 5-year period, all of the DPA funds will be required to be paid back. The great thing also about this, our down payment assistance program, and coupled with our mortgage program, we didn't always offer this, but now you can purchase new construction, okay? And again, it must be your primary residence here in the state of New Jersey. That's a big win for homeowners, home buyers here in the state of New Jersey. We didn't always allow these funds to be used towards new construction. It must be an existing structure that had been on the market at least for 1 year, but now you can utilize it to purchase new constructed homes. Okay. Borrowers also can use seller concessions with our down payment assistance program to give even greater buying power. And in some cases, the borrower may not need any additional funds of their own at all for closing. So you could conceivably purchase a home with little or no money out of your own pocket. Eligible property is really quick. Again, it must be located in the state of New Jersey. It must be a single family home, condo, townhome, manufactured home, or mobile home that's on a fixed foundation. Can't just wheel it from one town to town. It's got to be on a fixed foundation. And again, you can purchase up to a 4-family dwelling, which one of the units must be occupied by the borrower as his or her primary residence for 5 years. This link here on this particular page is a link to HUD's website to find a credit counseling agency, HUD approved credit counseling agency. I'm just going to click on that really quick. And you can go to this particular page, put in your search criteria, the area where you're at, and find a HUD-approved counseling agency in your area. It'll let you know whether or not what languages they speak, whether or not you can take it online. Oh, well, since COVID, almost everything is done online. But prior to COVID, you can take these courses on a Saturday in-house or take them online. In some cases, the credit counseling course is free. In other cases, depending on the agency, there's a small fee for the credit counseling course. And as I said earlier in previous slide, you could possibly recoup that fee at closing. Now, all the links in this presentation will be added to the chat function, so you can copy these to your desktop or bookmark them on your browser. Also, they will be emailed out tomorrow or the next day, so you can have all this information at your fingertips. Now, just to wrap up, we have a wonderful home buying guide in a PDF digital format. We also have it in a hard or soft cover format that we would typically mail out to realtors or to first-time home buyers. When I'm on the road, I hand these things out at various functions. This particular guide is a valuable resource for you. It is a wonderful guide that takes you through the home buying process from the beginning all the way until when you get your keys. It talks about the cost of home ownership, home buying counseling, how to get pre-qualified, pre-approved for a mortgage, how to go about launching your home search. This is a great resource for the first-time home buyer. We put a lot of work into this, and what I suggest you do is just download it, leave it on your desktop, and just flip through it. If you have any questions about the process, a home inspection, anything like that, great resource. Also, at the end of this particular guide, there's a glossary of terms, which is valuable. So if you're going through the process, you hear a term that you're not familiar with, just flip to the back of this particular guide. There's a glossary of terms, and it'll explain what it actually means and give you a better understanding. Great resource. Now, for those on the webinar who are ready to purchase a home and want to get qualified, you can simply go to our website, the link here on this particular slide, and fill out the lender request form, and we will refer 3 of our top lenders to you for you to decide which one you want to use. And then the lender will then pre-qualify you for a mortgage and get the ball started, and hopefully get you to closing. I'm going to show you the site really quick. Find the lender. You come down to the lender request form, put in your email address, your name, phone number, what county you're looking to purchase in, whether or not you need the down payment assistance and closing costs, what type of meet you would like, whether it's face-to-face or over the phone or online, the language you speak, and they will then return to you referral of up to 3 lenders, 3 of our top lenders, to get you started and get you pre-qualified. If you would like to reach out to a lender yourself, at the bottom of this particular page on the website, you can download a printable list of our participating lenders and reach out to the lenders on your own. I'm going to jump ahead of myself. Let me just go back. If you have if you're currently pre-qualified and the lender that you have is not one of our approved lenders, and you want to take advantage of our down payment assistance program, you can simply have your lender reach out to us at sflenders@njhmfa.gov, and we can work with them to get them on our list. Doesn't take very long, takes about a week. And you can take advantage of our down payment assistance, okay? So again, if they're not on our list, we can easily work with them to get on our list, and you can take advantage of the funding that we have available. That concludes my portion of this particular webinar. My information is here on the screen. Feel free to email me at any time with any questions that you may have about the program. Also, you can give me a call. I prefer email. I'm not in the office right now, obviously, but if you call me and leave me a voicemail, I will return the call, but email is the best way to reach me at this particular point. And that concludes my portion. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself. Or Jordan, do you have any questions in the chat? You're muted, sir.
Okay, I have a couple questions from the chat. Give me 1 second. Okay, does the back end DTI of 47% include bills or expenses such as cable or internet service?
No, they look at what's on your credit report, and they look at the minimum payments on your credit report.
Okay, I have another question. Which FICO score is used for mortgages, and is the FICO score obtained from all 3 agencies? If so, do they use the lowest score out of the 3?
That's a great question. Typically what happens, well, let me back up. For our program, it doesn't matter whether or not you have a 620 credit score or a 700 credit score. Everybody gets the same interest rate, and a minimum credit score is 620, period. But the way it's determined for purposes of what your middle score is, basically they look at all 3 credit bureaus, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. They look at the high score of those 3, they look at the low score of those 3, and they use what's left, or what's in the middle. That's considered your middle credit score. So they discard the high, they discard the low, they use the one that's in the middle. That's not my interpretation of middle score, but that's how it's done with the credit agencies. I would typically just take all 3 scores and average them out. And to me, that would be my middle score, but that's not how it's done.
Okay, and one more question. Since the first-time homebuyer or the Homeward Bound program can be combined with the NJHMFA DPA program, how many other DPA programs can a homebuyer utilize, and can this also be combined with a mortgage credit certificate?
I'm not sure what the mortgage credit certificate is, but you can combine funds from other programs as long as, so for instance, if you receive down payment assistance from the county for $10,000 or $5,000, such as the American Dream down payment program, where they get $5,000 to help you with your down payment and closing costs, you can combine that with ours as long as the other entity will allow it. We don't have a problem with it. As long as it meets the underwriting guidelines, it's definitely doable.
Okay, and someone said they're looking to buy sometime after September. How soon should they be applying for the mortgage?
You're looking to buy in September. If you're ready, I would start as soon as July. The reason why is because inventory throughout the state is very, very low. It's a seller's market, and from what I understand from the real estate professionals that I talk to, is that it might take you 2 months, 3 months to find the home you're looking for, because open houses have 30, 40 people at them. And there's some folks who are putting in cash offers on some of these properties. So it's going to take a minute to find what you're looking for. So if you're looking to possibly move in September, I would start as early as possible, at least 2 months in advance of that, or a month in advance of that, because it's going to take a minute to find what you're looking for. Well, that's a great question. Anybody else? If you didn't put it in the chat, you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hi, Jesse. This is Katrina.
Hi, Katrina.
Which FICO score is used for the mortgages? The FICO model, is it 8? Is it 4? Is it, I know they have 9 out now. Do you know?
We used it, well, for the mortgages purposes, again, they use from the 3 top credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax. And they look at those 3 scores. And again, the way they determine the middle score is they look at the high, they look at the lower score of the 3, and they discard those 2. And what's left is considered your middle score for mortgage purposes.
Right, but so when you go to apply for a credit card or a car loan, there's all different models with FICO. So like I get a monthly report and it's got my FICO 4 scores from all 3 bureaus. It's got my FICO 8 score, my FICO 9 score. That's what I was wondering, what they use for the mortgages.
Honestly, I don't know what the FICO 8 score. I know what the actual FICO score is on my credit report, and looking at a mortgage credit report, it actually gives me a 3-digit score for each credit bureau.
Okay.
All right.
That's fine.
Like Credit Karma or something like that?
No, I don't use Credit Karma because they use the Vantage score, which is not entirely accurate because most lenders, whether it's for a lease, for a car, or a mortgage, they don't look at your Vantage score. They look at your actual FICO score, and that's what you need. You need your FICO score.
Right.
And what I found, don't get me wrong, I've used Credit Karma. I look at Credit Karma, I see my score, but then when I look at my actual FICO score, it could be 20 to 30 points higher than what Credit Karma shows.
Right.
So I don't use Credit Karma.
Right.
Okay, do you have any more questions for Jesse?
Well, if you think of anything else, feel free to type it in the chat, or when we go back to Q&A after Satal speaks, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, all right, if there's no more questions, we can move on to our next speaker. We have Satal Shah, and he's going to explain the importance of having an attorney during the closing process. Satal, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yep, yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, good evening, Jordan, Jesse, and everybody out there. I'm attorney Satal J. Shah from Edison, New Jersey, and I was going to provide you with some advice and tips on buying a home contract-wise. Whenever you sign a contract, just remember you have 3 business days to review the contract with your attorney. It's called the attorney review period. I call it the agree to disagree period. That means you review the contract with your attorney makes changes for you. The seller's attorney will do the same for the seller. Goes back and forth for several days until both parties agree to disagree. Once you sign off on their changes and the seller sign off on your changes, attorney review is complete. That's 3 business days. Saturdays and Sundays do not count, or holidays. So if you're signing a contract on Friday night, do not panic. Saturday and Sunday do not count. Monday, you'd start attorney review. If any advice I can give everyone out there, it's practical advice. If you like a home, you obviously know the market right now is very red hot. The houses are flying off the shelves, literally hours, not even in minutes and hours. If you've seen a home, you made multiple offers and you're getting rejected from every single home you're seeing, and you finally see a house that you like, he or she that finishes attorney review first wins the game. That means soon as you sign the contract and you review it with your attorney, you sign off on the other side's changes and they sign off on the changes as well. It's done. No one can interfere. Until you both sign off on the changes and conclude attorney review, the seller is able to accept other offers and higher offers, and that will allow to kick out your offer. So try to do it quickly. That's very important. In the contract, I often get asked, how much deposit should I put? Generally, $1,000 is a good faith deposit, which is common practice. A second deposit can be any amount within 2, 3, 5, 10 days after attorney review. There is no textbook answer. Some people put 5% down, 2%, 3%, 10%, 15, 20. The sellers generally want the buyers to put more down. The buyers generally want to put less down. Within the contract, a few key terms, the appliances that are included. Stove is the only appliance that's included by law. If there's other appliances, you want to take a few minutes and jot them down. When you see appliances that are more newer or brand new, take time to write new dishwasher, GE refrigerator. Why? Because when appliances are included, it's not something that you've seen or expect. Just because you see new appliances, you may mentally assume you're getting them. They're allowed to give you used appliances or something else on the day of the closing. So if you're banking on something being new that you are including in the contract, take a few minutes and write it down so there's no misunderstanding. Now, in attorney review, once you conclude it, you typically then will order a home inspection. You typically will have 14 days to conduct a home inspection, to provide your attorney with a copy of the report and a list of repairs that you would like the seller to address. Seller will either address the repairs, provide a credit for the repairs, or a combination. The number one question I get asked, if I do the home inspections and I don't like the house or it didn't go well, can I cancel the contract? The answer is no. It's not based on your feelings or how you feel and what you like. If the sellers address all of the major repairs, you don't have an excuse to cancel the contract. If the sellers do not address all of the major repairs, you can use that as an excuse to cancel the contract. That means seller has the right to address the repairs before you have the right to cancel. The next question I get asked most often is, what can I ask for? Can I ask for all the repairs? You can ask for all the repairs, but that doesn't mean the seller will address any of them. The contract states major repairs: heating, air conditioning, electrical, mechanical systems, environmental concerns, mold, asbestos. The foundation should be free of structural cracks, no mold. The roof should be sound and structurally okay. Windows should be operating condition. Mechanical systems such as HVAC should be working. These are considered major. If the seller decides to perform another repair that's not major, that's a Christmas gift. You say thank you. You don't have a right to cancel the contract if they do not perform repairs that are not major. For example, if you're negotiating with the seller and trying to get a credit, how do you know you'll be treated fairly? The sellers offer $75 towards a plumbing repair, but your estimate shows $700, then you want to negotiate better because you have an estimate to support what you're asking. So if you get closer to $600, you're closer to the estimate and you're getting treated more fairly and getting the right amount of money to address the repairs after closing. Typically, after attorney review, you'll have 4 weeks to get a mortgage commitment. Mortgage commitment is a piece of paper from the mortgage company that basically says they approved you, they reviewed your financial paperwork, and they're going to give you the money on the day of the closing. That's important to get within the time frame, generally 4 weeks. The title work will be reviewed by your attorney. You want to make sure there's no lawsuits, liens, or judgments on the property. Title work is your attorney's problem, and he will help you and assist and evaluate it for you. It is not your concern. It is only your concern if you're hiring professionals or attorneys that don't do real estate. There's a lot of complexities involved in a closing, and if it's a non-real estate attorney, you're asking for mistakes. it's better to use someone who's familiar with real estate. For example, on title work, the seller's mortgage has to be paid off. The water bills, sewer bills have to be paid off, or there's a lien. Those may be more obvious, but you want to make sure the actual sellers, the owners, are the ones that signed the contract. In addition, for example, let's say the seller owes child support. That's lienable on the property. And not only lienable, but the next 12 months of future payments are also lienable. So you want to make sure things are addressed prior to closing, because you'd be very upset paying somebody else's child support on a lien on a new home that you just purchased. Your attorney is like a bodyguard. His job or her job is to vet everyone, work together. It's a team-oriented approach. Your attorney will work with the home inspector, the title company, the mortgage company, the real estate agents, and all parties. The goal is to get to the closing table. So your attorney, he's like a ringleader at a circus, coordinating everybody, working with everybody, and making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. For example, let's assume the closing is tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Your attorney would have told you how much money to bring today. You'd go to the bank and get a check. You'd also visit the property one more time before closing. So assume the closing's tomorrow at 2 p.m. You'd be going today or tomorrow morning to the house to make sure there's no damage to the property, that the house is in good condition, as the same condition when you did home inspections and when you signed the contract. If there's any damage, you'd inform your attorney. Things can be worked out, they will be. If a credit can be resolved for a repair that needs to be done, it can be. What if it's a really big repair? Let's say the heating system completely collapsed and is broken. You wouldn't be able to close. Then you get estimates from licensed HVAC people, delay the closing, have it addressed, and reschedule the closing. Those things can happen. That's a simple overview of the closing process. The last thing that I would like to say, I saved it for last. Try everyone to hang with me on this last point. I promise it will save you money and you will thank me one day later. Let's assume, for example, you're buying a house. Doesn't matter which town you're buying it. You could make up the make pretend town. All sellers have to provide the buyers with an inspection from the township for the property and give you a certificate before you close. What does that mean? The townships either require 2 inspections or 1. Some towns require smoke detector certification. That means the fire department comes out, checks out the smoke detectors. If they work, they sign a certificate and give it to the seller. The second inspection is called the certificate of occupancy. It's a building inspection where the township comes out. If it passes, they sign off on a certificate and provide it to the seller. Every township either has 1 or both inspections. So every town could have either a smoke detector certification and a certificate of occupancy inspection from the building department. Some towns only have a smoke detector certification. Some towns have only a certificate of occupancy inspection and not a smoke detector. You can call any town code enforcement, Google it up. They will tell you what the town requires, either 1 certificate or both. This is not your responsibility. This is the seller's responsibility to provide it to you. Now, hang on this last point, very detailed. Let's assume you found a house today and you signed a contract and it has a finished basement. And you are very excited with the finished basement. You envision yourself, it's a man cave. You like it, you make the offer. 50% of the population, the thought may occur to them whether this basement is legal. The other 50% are happy-go-lucky. They may not even think about it, sign the contract. You determine which group you're in. Let's assume group number 1. You are not aware that the township, you are not aware that what is required for a finished basement. Your attorney will ask the other attorney for paperwork. Let's assume the township only has a smoke detector certification, nothing else. That means the fire department comes in, passes a certificate, and gives a smoke detector certificate to the seller. Your attorney will ask, is the basement legal? The seller's attorney will provide the smoke certificate to your attorney. Now, 2 things can happen. Your attorney would have to be knowledgeable enough to know that is not enough and to block it and ask for a permit for the basement. That would be helpful to know that the basement's legal. or the attorney can accept the only document the township requires, smoke certificate, give it to you, and the matter ends. That wouldn't be correct legal advice. You wouldn't know any better and you accepted that certificate. Fast forward 3 years later when you're selling the home. A new buyer likes your finished basement just like you did. They ask whether the basement is legal. You provide the smoke detector certificate from when you closed and you provide it to them. However, this buyer is very smart, Google oriented, calls the township and figures it out and knows that the smoke detector certificate is not enough. They want the permit for the basement. That means permission from the township that it was done and inspected correctly. Now you waive your smoke detector certificate and provide it to them because that's the only thing you receive from your attorney when you closed. This buyer says, no, I need the permits. It will be on your watch to get the permits now for the buyer. That means you would have to pay a fee, get the proper paperwork, and then start getting the process of getting permits. It depends how much work was done in a finished basement. If it's intricate plumbing, electrical, you'll have to get certifications from a plumber, electrical. Sometimes architectural drawings are required, and then attorney fees. Those fees add up very quickly. You will be very upset legitimizing a basement that you did not create. Your defense may be, I bought the house like this. I didn't do anything with the basement, but that defense would work in third grade. That is not going to work here today. That means on your watch, you will have to legitimize a basement and provide permits to the buyer. Now, you'll be very upset. What is the way to solve this problem? Generally, it's against my interest to tell you because I make a very good living solving these problems for many clients. There's two ways to solve this problem. One way is to file what's called an open records public act form. That's an open records public act. That's a free form at the township code enforcement. You can go online and complete it. And once you complete it by law, the township has to provide you with whatever information they have about your property within their file and release it to you. It's released to anyone in America. You do not have to be a seller to obtain this information, and it's free, doesn't cost a penny. Once you complete it within 10 days, they'll give you whatever they have. That doesn't mean there's any information. It could be nothing, but whatever it is, it's yours. Now think logically. Let's assume the seller boasted and said it's a brand new basement, brand new roof, brand new water heater, and they're making you pay a certain price for it. No problem. Now you file the open records public act form at code enforcement, and there's no permit on file for that nice roof or the finished basement. Then you've learned something in today's seminar. If they don't have any permits for it, you want to ask them through your attorney and home inspections to get it for you. Why? Because you want them to do it before you close. Because after the closing, it is going to be your responsibility at your dollar to fix the problem. That would be the best approach. Another final comment. Human error often occurs in life, especially when you're getting open records public act form. I find from experience that it's best to call code enforcement the old-fashioned way. Pick up the phone, call them up and ask them if there's any open permits. That means work that's been done by the seller, but not inspected by the township. That's why the permit is open. As soon as they tell you something is open, you want to ask the seller to close the permit out. That means they'll finish it before closing. Very important. My name is again Satal J. Shah. I'm an attorney in Edison, New Jersey. We do a lot of work throughout every county in New Jersey. We also travel and do the closings for you out there. So if you're not in a county near me, doesn't matter. We do as much work in Burlington, Camden, you name it. Bergen County, Atlantic City, doesn't matter. I know Jordan and Jesse have provided brochures, Attorney Shah's Guide to Buying Your First Home in English and Spanish. Please feel free to read it. If you misplace it, you can download it off our website. I am proud to say that we had more than 6.4 million web hits on that brochure, as it's been mentioned on HGTV and several TV shows throughout the country. Now, the last thing I would say is if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. mention you're from the seminar. It's best to email us if you have any questions. I look forward to working with you, and God bless everybody, and thank you for listening. And one last thing, we just started our Instagram page that's providing legal advice. If you'd like to follow us, please follow us at Shah, my last name, S-H-A-H, legal, L-E-G-A-L _COM. There'll be updates on fair housing laws and all legal updates throughout now, this month, and throughout the summer, and also incentives for asking us questions in the other seminars being posted. Again, thank you for listening, and I wish everybody lots of good luck.
All right, thank you, Satal. Do we have any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, thank you for coming on tonight. All of the information that you received tonight will be sent in an email tomorrow. If you missed any part of the webinar, we will be sending a link to our YouTube page, which will show the full recording of this video. And if you have anybody that would like to sign up for our the emails that we send out, please include that in the chat or send us an email. And thank you for coming, and please have a good night.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you, Jess.
All right, Mr. Jordan.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
All right, man. Take care.